and welcome to another episode of My Two Cent. My name is Paul Emerson, and I'll be giving you my 2 cents. Today's topic is because it's trending. So YouTube's algorithm basically searches for things based on what's popular at the moment. So because of this, I want to start a channel and I want to grow. So since I have to grow, I have subjects that I want to cover, but then I'm also going to have, because it's trending, which addresses basic random issues just so that I can bring in traffic. That's pretty much the reason why I'm doing this. Otherwise, most of these subject matters will be completely ignored by me because they're, in my opinion, they're kind of trivial. They're not trivial within themselves, but the deeper conversation had from addressing a certain particular interest or topic is covered within the context of my 2 cents itself, instead of applying that to a particular interest. The best example I could give is I would rather do a video on fire safety than talk about the safety of a fire because someone's house caught on fire. That's kind of the approach that I want to take with my 2 cents. So this is basically taking my 2 cents and applying it to things that are trending, so that when people are searching for said trending things, then they'll get a hit on my channel. My channel will grow. Okay, with that introduction out of the way, today's topic is going to be about H&M. My computer's over there. H&M. So H&M came under fire for a derogatory advertisement campaign where they have an African male, maybe African American male, wearing a shirt that's offensive. I think it says something like the monkey of the jungle or something like that. It says coolest monkey in the jungle, right? Yes. It says coolest monkey in the jungle. So obviously most people in America are aware that it's a derogatory term to call an African American male, specifically a monkey. It's also derogatory to call an African American male boy, because that's what the Caucasians that were slave masters over African Americans in the past those were terms they used to use while they were, forcing my ancestors to be indentured servants for their entire life, right? So the reason I'm making this video is because an African American male made a post, and he said, "Why are you offended that this company is disrespecting African Americans when African Americans continuously call themselves niggers all the time?" Right? Okay. Now, since this is totally different from my 2 cents, I'm going to speak on something that happened to me just recently in a defect. I was working, I was cooking food because I'm a soldier in the Army. I work in a defect. I didn't report to my NCOs or anything because it's, like I said, it's trivial. It doesn't really matter. I was working in a defect, and there wasn't enough space on the flat top stove to cook all of the products. So I adjusted the products because I was working with the female. I moved her product over. I shifted her product over just a little bit, so that my presence would not be in her personal space. So when she came over and saw that I had shifted her product, her response was simply "nigga." That was it. It wasn't no rebuttal, no explanation, nothing. It was just that, because her position was, you don't have any right to be moving my product to make space for your product, right? So it's coming from a place of derogatory. She could have been professional and been like, "Emerson, I need to use this stove. Could you not move my product because I needed to be here in this very specific place for a specific reason?" The reason why I'm bringing this up is because once I readjusted everything back, because I'm old and I have the knowledge and wisdom that comes with working in the kitchen for 10, 15 years. Obviously, I'm working in her personal space, which is why I moved the pot over, but I shouldn't have to explain that to her. So while we were standing there working, she was like, "You know what, I'm going to shift this pot over to the same exact spot." So now the question is like, well, why did I have to be a nigga? Why I got to be a nigga? Because I had foresight to show you where this pot should be, when all of a sudden you're uncomfortable because we're too close to each other, so now you want to move it over. Did I get an apology? No. And that's kind of the point. Companies like H&M, they reinforce these types of ideas in the minds of individuals in our society. The African American in this country is struggling financially and emotionally because of little simple stuff like that, because it reinforces the idea that one group of people is less than another group of people. And we in America, all of us, regardless of your skin color, we have a responsibility to make sure that the legacy that has passed stays in the past. So diligence is required every day in America to make sure that derogatory things are not occurring and disrespectful things are not occurring. When Dove put out their advertisement where they showed the Caucasian female, the African American female transforming into a Caucasian female, and it was offensive, the company is supposed to apologize and learn from their mistake. That's the most important part, and that's the thing that people are forgetting. These companies are deliberately advertising derogatory things to try to get away with it, to test the waters, and then when they're caught and when they're brought under fire by it, they just do it again later, and that's kind of the problem. So that's the point. The reason why African Americans are offended is because these companies are showing their continued disrespect and their lack of cultural tolerance to the very market that they advertise to. It's kind of like if we went to McDonald's as an African American male or female, and you bought a burger and they called you a nigger. That's what it feels like. Because now if I go to the store and I see a H&M, shirt, first thing I'm gonna think about is how they have, the whole slogan about, the best monkey in the jungle or whatever. And it's disrespectful. Like, when you deal with it every day, nobody wants to be reminded of that. Every single day, like, who wants to deal with this every day? Like, every single day, Every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it never stops. Never stops. We never get a break from being dark-skinned. So, yes, there's people out there that's offended and they're voicing their opinion, because there's people like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X that in the past fought diligently to put African Americans in the present in the position to ensure an equal future for their ancestors, for their descendants, right? So that's the point. So when you're wondering why some intelligent, enlightened African Americans that believe that they should have equal rights in America are arguing and fighting the good fight to make sure that equality continues to perpetuate itself in America, that's the reason why. Now, in regards to the whole idea or concept that there's still African Americans out there calling themselves niggas, well, the reason why that's happening is because the idea of us being niggas, boys, bitches, hoes is still strong as an influence in African American culture. And the reason why that cultural influence is still strong in our culture is because of advertisements like that. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the African American needs to get over their situation and at the same time say the African American can't complain about getting over their situation. Because you say it's a complaint and I say it's addressing an issue. So which one of us is right? Because you don't have the issue. If it was flipped and I did something disrespectful to you, then you're going to want to say, well, this isn't fair because this happened. But if I come at you and say, well, you're just complaining, you're going to say, well, no, I'm addressing my opinion, right? So that's the flip side. That's the advantage to living in a country like America, where we're supposed to have freedom of speech, due diligence and all that stuff, representation and all that crap. So that's the point of it all. That's the reason why you see a lot of this stuff happening in the news and in the media. Because at the end of the day, if something is wrong and someone addresses that wrong, there's going to be a lot of people that want that wrong to remain a norm, and they're going to challenge it. So if you see something that's being addressed and there's nothing negative about it being addressed, don't put your input. If you don't understand or you don't agree, if you think that African Americans are being a hypocrite, just don't say anything. Just be quiet and continue to live your life as you do. Because that's usually what I do. I usually don't make videos like this. But if I want my channel to grow, then I gotta put out stuff that's trending. So this is the first video in the series of Because It's Trending. And as always, my name is Paul Emerson, and that is my 2 cents. Oh, and if you like higher intelligence stuff, like multiverse, extra dimensionality, science, philosophy, check out some of the other videos on this channel. Because there's a lot more than just rant and raving about social norms. So, y'all have a nice day.